and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am continuing my series on Real Talk about planner conferences. The topic of today's Real Talk is expectations, what happens at a planner conference, and some tips and tricks for the day of the conference. So, when you go to one of these conferences, typically the day before or the morning of, there is registration. If there is a registration the day before, it usually is not just pick up your badge and be on your merry way, ready for the next day. At a planner conference, registration really is a day of activity in and of itself, a few hours at least. And so what you're going to do is you are going to pick up your badge, and then there will be opportunities to meet with people. Frequently, there is a social event. For Go Wild, there was an entire room of stations and shops that were doing demo kinds of things. At SGS, we had some make and takes and a scavenger hunt, and I am going to the Chicago Planner Conference in a couple of weeks, and they're actually having a mixer for first-timers and solo attendees so that you can get to meet people before you go to the conference. And then they're also having shopping that night, as well as some make and take stations. And a make and take station is typically a quick craft, learn some new techniques maybe, and it's just what it sounds like. You make something that you can then take with you. So that is the first day. And like I said, frequently there's a party that you can get to know the people that you're going to be at the conference with the next day. So then you have the day of the conference. Now, there are 3 ways in which tables are being assigned that I've seen recently. So at Go Wild, the day of the conference, you stand in line for a long time. And I actually enjoy that part of Go Wild, is the standing in line and waiting and the anticipation of going and seeing all the tables for the first time. At SGS, you picked your table number and where you were going to be in the room, and then your sponsor was randomly assigned to you. At the Chicago Planner Conference, we got a survey, and you could pick your top 10 shop sponsors, and then some magic computer matches you up, and hopefully you get one of those top 10, but at least you have an idea of what you're going to get from your table sponsor. Okay, so regardless of whether you're lining up and rushing in or you've already been assigned, the first thing generally that happens is you're going to walk into the room. It's going to be beautiful. You're going to be overwhelmed, and you're going to go and find your table. At Go Wild, you'll look around and see if you can find a table that looks like your style. Usually you can't see a lot of what the gifts are. They're wrapped up and very pretty, but you can get a general idea from the colors or, that kind of thing as to where you're going to sit. Now, I am going, like I said, to CPC, which is the Chicago Planner Conference, in a couple of weeks. So I've already submitted the table sponsors I'd like to have, but I have no idea what I'm going to get. And then in September, I'll be at Sugary Gal, which is SGS, and that one, we pick where we're going to sit, but we don't know who the sponsor is. So you've gotten to your table, and you have all of these people who are wandering in, and your table is full of gifts from your table sponsor, and it's beautifully decorated, and I'm sure you've seen pictures online. When you get to your table, It's very tempting to start going through all of those wonderful things, but don't do it. Wait until everybody is at your table so that everybody gets the opportunity to take pictures for social media and to get that impact of the table being perfectly decorated. So then you're going to sit down once everybody's sat at the table and meet your table mates. At that point in time, once everybody's got their pictures, then feel free to dig into what you've got on your table. And either after everybody's opened their table gifts, or maybe you might wait for a break, then you'll bring out your table mate gift. If you decided to do that. It's not required. It's something that I do because I enjoy it, but I'm perfectly happy just to meet the people at my table. I don't need that kind of thing. It's just something nice to do. Once everybody is seated and the excitement kind of bears down a little bit, then you'll have speakers. And each speaker will be introduced individually, and the speakers generally talk for 20 to 40 minutes at most. And the speakers you'll have known in advance because they'll have been announced, and you'll have a schedule. And then in between the speakers, there are swag drops. And what a swag drop is, after a speaker has finished, or sometimes before if it's more of a workshop kind of talk, you'll get more gifts from the speaker or the shop that's sponsoring that speaker, where things I've gotten at drops have been notebooks, and for example, Erin Condren's gratitude journal we've gotten, things like that. After the swag drop, there's usually a 10 or 15 minute break so that you can talk to your table mates, get up, get a glass of water, whatever you need to do, and then there's more speakers. After the speakers have finished, then you'll have a lunch break. Now, typically, most conferences don't feed you. It's very expensive, and so you'll get a couple of hours to go out and get lunch. Now, you've just met all these people and you've exchanged information, and you either have already made plans in advance, or you will ask people what they're doing and go out to lunch. After lunch, typically you'll come back to more speakers or possibly workshops. So CPC has speakers in the morning and then workshops in the afternoon, and there were a variety of workshops to choose from. That registration was done in advance, so you don't have to worry about getting into the workshop that you wanted. And during breaks, there are typically shopping opportunities. If the conference you're going to has a vendor room, there will be shopping during lunch and shopping during breaks possibly, and this is your opportunity to go and spend some money. Go Wild does not do this. Go Wild does not have a vendor room. The only shopping opportunity at Go Wild is Erin Condren. And for Go Wild, your shopping really happens in advance. There'll be a huge list of licensed shops who have the Go Wild logo, and you can buy all kinds of merchandise from them. Personally, I can see the value in both, but I like to be able to show my appreciation for the shops that I really like by spending money in person. So I appreciate that Go Wild gives the shop owners the opportunity to relax and not be selling constantly. But on the other hand, I do enjoy the shopping opportunities. After the workshops or the speakers, there'll be another break for dinner. And dinner is, again, going to be on your own or with your new friends. Following the dinner break, typically there is some kind of after party, or there might be more activities. At the Chicago Planner Conference, it gets started a little late. Speakers don't start until about 10 a.m. And so this year there's going to be a recording of Planner Girl Chatter podcast. And I can't remember, well, I can remember because I have in my conference planner the schedule. I always print out the schedule and put it into my planner. So from 7 to 11:30, we've got a meet and greet with Cindy Gunter-Baldo, a karaoke and dance party, the live podcast, more make and take sessions. So that's a party and some activities. And then for CPC, we're having on Sunday, we're having breakfast, and then we're having more speakers. So that's a lot of activities going on. I apologize for my assistant here being a little needy. Yeah, you are. You're needy. Okay. So, excuse me. So you go in and if you're going with roommates, either people that you know or people that you met online, because for every conference I've ever seen, there is always a roommate post. So even if you're going by yourself, you have the opportunity to meet people and to share the cost. One of my favorite things to do is after everything has calmed down and you're back in your room is to go through both your table gifts and the swag bag that you get. You'll get a swag bag full of samplers and other planner things that have been donated by shops. And what we do is we will go through that together and kind of swap things. And that was a lot of fun at the last SGS conference that I went to. So that's your basic breakdown. And then on the last day, everybody says goodbye, and you might hang out in the lobby and say goodbye to your new friends, and it's all a lot of fun. Now, I want to talk about the swag and the table sponsor specifically. So, as I said before, there are 3 ways to get that conferences are doing this now. It's either the random walk in and pick a table, which, except for the pushing and shoving in Austin, I haven't experienced that again. And that has been a good experience for me. In Austin, there was a problem with crowd control, but the organizers at Go Wild have really resolved that, so I wouldn't be too worried about, you worry about people running in. They're really controlling that, so you really don't have to worry about that anymore. The second way, as I said, was to pick your favorite sponsors and hopefully get matched up with one of them. And the third way, which is becoming more common, is to be randomly assigned. You pick your table, you know where you're going to sit, and then whoever you get for a sponsor is who you get for a sponsor. And now here comes the real talk. So what you hear in defense of this, and it's much easier for the organizers, and you don't have that long wait, and I am one of those rare people who likes to be up in the morning and wants to be doing things, and a lot of people do not like mornings and don't want to get up and get in line and don't want to be social that early in the morning. So the randomly assigned table is a solution for that, because there's no reason to get there early and stand in line because you know where you're going. And what you'll hear is all tables are beautiful and every table is fantastic. Don't worry about it. And you won't be disappointed. And while that is true, every table is beautiful. I haven't seen anything that I would say is truly disappointing. It might not be your style. And that's the truth. Would be horrified if I sat at a table full of snowmen. Snowmen scare me. And so if that was the theme of the table I randomly got assigned at, that would be unfortunate. But when you are sitting in a room full of planner people, including the shop owner who puts so much work into that table, that's not the time to be expressing your disappointment. What you should be doing is finding something, and you will find something on that table, I promise, that you really like. Even if it is a complete kawaii full of eyeballs staring you in the face table, there'll be a water bottle or or a bookmark or something that you can say, yeah, I really like that, even though I hate the rest of this stuff. But you don't say that last part out loud, because frequently, very rarely is the shop owner not there. And so the shop owner is there. They're going to overhear you saying how disappointed you are. Don't do it. Or their friends are there. There are lots of ears in that room. And honestly, there is going to be something that you're going to be grateful for. So express that. Don't be the person saying, oh my God, I sat at the snowman table and it was awful. Be the person that finds something to be grateful for in the table, because that shop owner spent a lot of money and a lot of time and effort putting that table together, making it beautiful for you. And the swag is all donated. So that shop owner is, and even if this is not your style, take pictures, post them to social media. This is how the shop owner is getting their return on that investment of setting out all of that stuff. Now, as if you do wind up sitting at the horrifying snowman table and you have done your hardest to be grateful, and you have told the shop owner that how happy you are with the table, and you found that one thing that you're like, oh my gosh, I love this, and you don't comment on the rest of it. And you don't say it like that. You say, this is amazing. This is my favorite thing in the whole world. Once you get back to your room, that is the time to say how you really feel, because you are going to find things that you're not going to be able to use, or if you wind up at that snowman table, you're going to give it all away, right? When you are in your room with your roommate, and if you don't have a roommate and your planner bestie is back home, maybe you get on the phone and talk to them. But you do that privately. You don't do that in front of a room full of people, because that shop owner has feelings. These are small shops that are individually run, and typically, this is their livelihood. And so you want to make sure that you are showing the appropriate amount of gratitude when you are getting those things that they are putting out for free and spending hundreds of dollars to put out that table. I mean, when you think about it, 10 place settings, that's a lot of money that they're spending and a lot of effort. And they're proud of what they did. I'm sure. I've never met a shop owner that wasn't. And there is somebody out there who is going to love that table full of snowmen. So just make sure that you are being kind. And the same thing goes for swaps. Now, I've seen complaints about tables. I haven't seen them as much about swaps because, or table mate gifts, because it's harder to be rude when you are standing face to face with the person who made whatever it is that they just handed you. Um, and the last bit of advice I have is the side talk during speakers. So you're sitting in a room and there's a speaker on stage and she's talking about stuff that really doesn't apply to you because you're not a happy planner and you don't decorate with snowmen. This is not the time to sit and have a chat with the person next to you. You do that during breaks. Try and keep that side chat to a minimum. If they are talking about happy planners or snowmen in a happy planner, you could sit there and be maybe very quietly looking at your swag, or there's going to be something about laying snowmen in a happy planner that you will find useful. If the speaker is not your cup of tea and is the all snowmen talk about happy planners, feel free to, during a break before that speaker comes out, go and take a mental health break. There's nothing wrong with going and taking care of yourself during a conference. In fact, the whole reason that you're going to the conference is for a little bit of self-care. So if you know that this is going to be problematic for you, step out, go look at the shops, or take a breath of fresh air outside. That's my last bit of advice. Just don't be the person talking during the speakers. And that, I think, is everything. Let me just check my notebook to make sure we talked about everything. What I left off from my planner making friends at conferences are a few planner pickup lines. So if you walk up to somebody and you have no idea what to say because, you're new and you're shy and you don't know what to say about anything, ask them what kind of planner they use. Ask them if they're a white space planner or a functional planner. Ask them if it's their first conference or if they've been to other conferences. And if they've been to other conferences, and what they think about this one, and those kinds of things. It's really easy to make friends that way, and people love talking about themselves. So that's my last bit of advice on on making friends and experiences at conferences. If you have any questions, if you have any advice, feel free to comment below. My next video, I think, is either going to be talking about money and budgeting for planner conferences. If we get really close to CPC, I will probably wind up doing a packing video. I've done a few of those before, more of what goes in my bag. This one, I'm planning on doing a pack with me where I'll have all the stuff that I'm taking and you'll see how it fits into my bags and suitcases. So subscribe if you haven't already and hit the notification bell so you can join me in the next Real Talk About Planner conferences. Thank you.